We talked about rapid intensification on CBS this morning, and that is exactly what has happened already. This storm was a borderline hurricane 24 hours ago, and now it is a Category 4 major hurricane. You can see the symmetrical shape. The better the storm looks, the stronger it is. That's just the general rule of thumb. So that well-defined eye with the circle of thunderstorms, these bands, and those dark red colors indicate some very cold cloud tops, means they're growing really high up into the atmosphere. This is a well-organized storm, and it could strengthen even further as it tracks farther to the west and northwest. In terms of that intensification that we just told you about, the upgrade, it's because the National Weather Services and NOAA's hurricane hunters went out and sampled what was happening in the storm. They're actually still flying around within Hurricane Florence right now, but they did sample 130-mile-an-hour surface winds, gusts to 140 miles an hour, and they're still flying around within Hurricane Florence, gathering data. That gets fed into the computer models. That helps us guide our forecast. And the latest forecast from the National Hurricane Center shows it maintaining Category 4 strength, but growing within that category. It stretches from 130 to 155 miles an hour. So getting close to Category 5 strength by the time early Wednesday morning rolls around, weakening very slightly, but still forecast to be a Category 4 hurricane at landfall. Everyone focuses on the red line, which is aimed right at Wilmington, but anywhere within the cone is still in the danger area in terms of where the storm could make landfall. That extends from southern Virginia all the way down through the coast of South Carolina. There are going to be revisions to this line. It always wobbles around just a little bit, but you can see that it is forecast to maintain its hurricane strength even as it moves farther inland. So even 12 hours after it's made landfall, it's still going to be capable of producing Category 1 hurricane force winds, which are 74 to 95 miles an hour, and that is forecast to move into central North Carolina. At this point, again, any wiggle of this forecast path is going to have a dramatic impact on our forecast. If it wiggles off to the east, all the threats get pulled off to the east because you don't want to be on the right side of that path. It's where the strongest hurricane winds are. It's where the greatest threat of tornadoes with a landfalling hurricane will occur. And it's where the greatest flooding potential is going to occur as well. In terms of that categorization, Category 1 hurricane winds, if those move into central North Carolina, we're talking about 74 to 95 mile an hour sustained winds, capable of reducing some tree, roof damage. The power grid really takes a hit with a borderline hurricane, but those power outages can last several days. That's why you need to be prepared with batteries, with candles. Be prepared for a prolonged power outage because that's going to be a threat. Plus, we have the flooding concern as well. Why is the storm strengthening so much? It is moving over bathtub warm water, and it's going to stay over warm water all the way up until it makes landfall. In terms of the odds of tropical storm force winds making their way into central North Carolina, that's 40 miles an hour or above. More likely than not, significantly more likely than not, as we track all the way through Friday with those storm force winds arriving first on the shore. But you notice there's no 100% yet because this storm is still about 3.5 days. It's about 84 hours away from making landfall, and there's still a lot that could change. So you can't put 100% on the forecast just yet, but the odds do favor a significant impact, not just for the coast, but inland areas as well. Those tropical storm force winds likely to arrive from southeast to northwest across central North Carolina as we head through the day on Thursday. And then the heavy rainfall threat is going to develop. And right now, with that path forecast to move through our southwestern counties, it puts most of central North Carolina on the right-hand side of the path, and that's where the heaviest rain falls. Weather Prediction Center, that's a branch of NOAA, estimates over 10 inches of rain at some point to the right of the path of Hurricane Florence, widespread amounts of more than 7 inches of rain. So more than a foot of rain could fall in some of these locations. That is way too much in any amount of time. It'd be too much over the course of a couple of months, much less in the course of a couple of days, because it looks like the storm is going to slow down as it moves in, and that's going to bring significant impacts with a prolonged flooding threat. We'll keep you updated on all of that. Do want to do a quick check of today's weather because it's still Monday. Folks are heading out to prepare and want to let you know what weather you're going to encounter as you're heading out. The cloud cover has been gradually lifting to the north, but along and west of I-85, the clouds are still pretty thick. Not seeing any showers or thunderstorms right now, but a couple of those could pop up as we head through the day. It's hot farther south, almost 90 degrees in Fayetteville. We're up to 80 in the Triangle as the sun is breaking through, but still upper 60s in Roxborough and mid-70s along the Virginia state line with the thicker clouds blocking that early September sunshine. Tomorrow, Wednesday, still typical late summertime days. Upper 80s for highs. It'll feel worse because of the mugginess. And then our alert days, Thursday and Friday, they may have to be expanded even into Saturday and Sunday. It just depends on the forward speed of Hurricane Florence and how long that flooding threat is going to linger nearby. And of course, everything depends on the specific path, which is the really hard part to pin down, especially more than 72 hours in advance. So be ready, be prepared. It doesn't hurt to be prepared.
And a storm surge in our lower beaches in the most southern part of North Carolina, much different than what they might be on the Outer Banks.
Right, so they're already issuing evacuations for the Outer Banks. It's going to depend on the terrain. Some of it depends on the seafloor as well, how tall those waves will get as the storm makes its way in.
Okay.
Got to prepare and have that plan in place.
Well, people love work perks like free coffee and nap pods. We're